Hey there, David Hawk here. Thanks for joining me. Today I want to show you how I edit images so that I get the best possible engrave with them. And if you know me at all, you know I deal with realtors a lot. And we make some housewarming gifts for them which contain multiple things. One of them is a puzzle of the house that's in a box. And we make the box, we make the puzzle, everything's engraved with the house on it. And you've got to do some editing to get this image to engrave, I keep wanting to say print, engrave well on that wood because we use 3mm basswood. So what I want to show you here is there's a couple of things to get this image ready. First of all, you can see that these wires are in the way. I don't like this pole here, and we've got shadows in the grass that I'd kind of like to get rid of. Possibly, I don't know if we can get rid of those weeds or not, but we're going to give it a try. I know we can get rid of this other stuff, and I want to show you how to do that. First thing, though, if you have a Mac computer, you can do this in Photos, and it won't cost you a thing. If you do it here in xTool Studio, it does a great job. I'm not trying to tell you to do the Mac thing over this. I just wanted to let you know that it's free, because here you can see it's going to cost you 6 xTool credits to get this done, but you can do the whole image. So there's what I want to do. I want to make this just a little bit bigger. Yeah, there we go. So just mark this pole, and anything you mark is essentially going to go away, which is really cool technology these days. So there we go. We've got that. I see a little bit of a wire here, but it's so faint, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's get these shadows in the grass. You don't have to be real, if you haven't used this, you don't have to be real accurate with it. It's going to do a good job. Now, I know it'll get those, but let's, just for the sake of giving it a try, let's see what it'll do to get these weeds out of the way, because nobody really wants weeds in their picture when they're getting their new house and going to see that image for a long time. The reason too realtors like these is because these housewarming gifts, I personalize them with the people's names so that the people will hold on to it, but I also personalize it with the realtors' names, so that realtor stays in front of them for as long as the people have the item. And when it's got their name on it, they typically don't get rid of the item very often. So here, now what we want to do is go click remove, and we want to generate. And this is the first time I've done this with the flowers, so we'll see how that works. Hopefully it works well. Sorry, I've got a light on my computer that makes me want to look in a different place other than the camera. So if I'm talking and I look like I'm looking over to the side, it's that light, and I apologize for that. But I'll come back as soon as this thing's done. All right, so due to the magic of editing, we're back, and you can see that worked really well. There's some of the weeds it didn't get rid of, but it got rid of most of them, and I'm fine with that. You could go back and try and clean it up just a little bit more if you want to, but isn't that amazing that xTool within the software, xTool Studio, can do that to an image? I just love this software. I know people talk about other laser softwares and things, but I don't see any need in having them, because xTool Studio so far has done everything I've ever wanted it to do. So here's the next thing. xTool has, as you know, lots of different materials, so you can choose from any of these materials to kind of focus in, or you can just scroll. I'm using Basswood is typically what I'm using when I'm engraving these things, so I'm going to use that. It wants to warn you that that's a flammable product. Yes, we know. Now the cool thing, I used to take these pictures and I would take them over into Imager, so IMAG-R software, and that worked really good for converting them into laser engravable images. And it still works well. Nothing against Imager. It's just now xTool, I say now, it might have been around for a while. I just found it with xTool Studio. xTool has adjustments, and if you click on adjust, you can see immediately this image is ready for engraving, and it does a great job. I've done this, it works well, and on whatever material that I'm engraving on. But like I said, most of the time when I'm doing these, it's definitely basswood. So the next thing that I want to show you in this is how to do a logo. If you don't know where I am now, I'm in Canvas. There's a button down on the bottom. I love this Canvas upgrade that they did because now you can put multiple files in the same folder. So I recently, or my wife and I recently did a fall festival, and we did some Halloween ornaments and things, and we had different ones, and we were able to put them all in the Canvas. So it was one file, but when you opened it up, you had 6 different ornaments in there. So now, if you want to do something like this, this gets really interesting because when you click at it, you can see, hopefully you can see there's kind of a white background in there, and you can go into AI cutout, and you're going to see that AI will get rid of that background very easily, but it's going to cost you 6 credits to do that. I get kind of cheap. I'd rather not pay if I don't have to. So you can do manual cutout and just click this wand here, click the back, and it takes that background out with no problem. Again, this is one of the softwares that I have found the best there is in getting rid of backgrounds. It does so good. And you can continue to edit this. So these little, I don't know, tan lines don't tend to engrave real well, so I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to try and clean this up over here in a little bit, but what I want to show you on top of this is when you're cleaning up an image, you can come in and get rid of all this stuff that if you don't want it, I mean, if you do, you can try and engrave it with it. It will engrave. I've had that happen, but I kind of like it without. But what I want to show you is when you zoom in, you can see once you've gotten rid of that stuff, that there's this little outline that it does not get rid of. So to get rid of that, you can just come into the eraser function. You got to unclick the little hand where I was dragging the image around, and then you can clean that up. And while it's not a big deal, it doesn't look like a big deal, and the engraver may not pick it up. The engraver is going to know it's there, and it could mess up your image. So if you're cleaning up images, I would just take the time to go ahead and do this and get all that little stuff out of there. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but something else I do want to show you. As you can see over here, we've gotten a real tiny little spot, and my eraser is bigger than that spot is. So if I do that, it's going to take out a piece of his face. I don't want that, so let's click the undo button, put that back, and now what we can do is just bring the size of this eraser down to where it really fits in there nicely, and you can get rid of all that without corrupting. Trying to do it without messing it up, without corrupting the rest of your image. So that's how I do that. Now the next step that I do with images like this is if I want to reuse it in something else, and I may be engraving it on a different material, so we got to go choose our material. I'm just going to choose Basswood again because it's right there and it's easy. There's no sense in you waiting for me to figure out another material. But what I want to do is I want to convert this with the adjustment, but first I want to export. Once I've got it cleaned up the way I want it, I want to export it, and so that I can have that original file to bring back in for different materials that I might want to engrave. So if you come over here to the file and down to export, you can export in multiple formats. One is XCS, so it's going to work with XCS software. The next SVG, PNG, and JPEG are going to work with most any other kind of graphics program. So I typically download in those just because you can upload it back into XCS and it works fine. But that's it. If I'm going to reuse an image on different materials, I always want to export it and keep it on my computer somewhere as a file so that I can get it back in its original form. And then once I have that, and I've picked the material that I'm going to engrave on, again, I click Edit, Adjust, Auto Adjust, and then it's ready to engrave. And again, it does a great job. I used to do these by hand, and it does better than I did by hand, and it took me a while to get those set. So doing all these kind of grayscale and invert and all this stuff, it was just, well, it'll still invert. Let's just do that. So it'll still invert. There's no problems with that. But now that's interesting. When I inverted it, check that out. I can see some of that stuff that I was telling you about. So let me just zoom in on it right here. So see, with the inverted, that is for sure going to mess up an engraving. So all the more reason to go in and make sure this image is completely cleaned up before you're ready to try and engrave it. But anyway, that's how I do images. I hope this has helped you. If you've got any questions, as always, leave them in the comments below. I answer those. And, you know, even if it's something that you want to see or another question that you've got, feel free to leave it down there. I'll answer anything I can. I'm happy to share anything that I know with you. And if you know anybody that this video might help, please share it with them. If you've enjoyed it, got anything out of it, please give me a thumbs up. If you've really liked it, subscribe to my channel. I would love that. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, I hope you're doing great, and see you later.